What is up going on, Investing Pros? I hope you all had a great weekend. I know I did. I got in some fun and some relaxation. I bought a pastry over the weekend, which is actually really important because when I logged on to Twitter, formerly known as X, I saw this post. It says, your rap name is Young plus the last thing you spent money on. So that would make my rap name Little Pastry. So let me know. What would your rap name be going by these rules? I want to know because it was a lot of fun to think back. What was the last thing I bought? Does crypto count? I don't know. Maybe crypto should count here. But I don't know. How cringe Little Bitcoin as a rap name would be pretty cringe. Let's take a look here at the Bitcoin charts. I've got them pulled up here on my screen, and you can see that on the weekly, Bitcoin is looking pretty good. We are still well above the midline of the Bollinger Band here on the weekly, but 53 is still a level that eludes the Bitcoin markets. Let's drive on down to the daily chart and see a little closer to the midline of the Bollinger Band there. This is, in my mind, this is likely where the sideways action eventually leads us. We saw here. This it wasn't quite sideways, but eventually when we got to that midline of the Bollinger Band here, that's when, we tried to play with it, slice through it, played with it a little more, and that's where we went down and tested lower before a move higher. That's just one instance. There's many more instances, but I think right now what we're kind of leading up to is consolidation. You can see that the top and the bottom band of the Bollinger Bands are consolidating. They're closing in, and that just means that there's less volatility relative to the price history of Bitcoin. There's less volatility ahead, and according to recent price action. And if you look, Bitcoin's basically a stable coin since February 15th, and that's okay. Right now, some of you shorting the market, shorting Bitcoin on the 15-minute charts are going to feel a little different. Of course, Bitcoin is not a stable coin, but it sure feels like it to us hodlers. So taking a look a little bit further in, we had this triangle that did break out, and I'll go down to the 4-hour for this part. We did have this very faint triangle I have drawn. You might not be able to see it, to be honest with you. Let me increase the opacity of this bad boy here. You can see the descending leg of this, the downtrending resistance was broken through, penetrated through with this pretty pronounced candlestick here on February 24th, on Saturday, this weekend. We got up above that, but did not even get out of the top line of the Bollinger Band on the 4-hour, right? So, that was a very failed attempt to get up and break through 53. What you can see here is that buyers are just exhausted. Buyers are exhausted on the upside, right? There's not a buy thesis above 51.8 right now in the short term. Of course, there's a buy thesis for Bitcoin. That's not going away. But buying at these levels, for investors, for savvy folks, they're waiting, right? Now, people got paid on the 15th. People got paid on the 15th back here, right? And there wasn't a huge rotation to Bitcoin. There wasn't a huge rotation, but it did go up and test 53,000, right? So that was a new high for 2024, and that didn't close on the daily chart, but that closed on, I believe, the hourly. So what does that mean? Why do I bring up paychecks? Well, America is about to get another paycheck on the 1st, right? So only in a handful of days here, and those paychecks could get a rotation into Bitcoin. There could also be a rotation from the stock market. NVIDIA just had a huge move higher. Folks might be looking to take profit on NVIDIA and other tech stocks and rotate into the best currency, the best store of value there is, Bitcoin. But right now, these prices are just elevated, right? And I think that's why we're seeing muted. That's why we're seeing muted buying. But I don't think it'll last much longer. One thing to consider is Ethereum. Ethereum is the thumbnail on the thumbnail today, and it is big, and I do think that there could be pumps for Ethereum, and this is why. As long as Bitcoin is flat, right, and the more that it tests lower, now, recently, here, this morning, we got a test lower, but it's a higher low. If this continues and this comes back up, if Bitcoin pumps back up here on the 4-hour, that's going to be a higher low. Now, it'll come after a lower high here to here. So it may not mean as much, just consolidation, which is already something we know from the 1 day charts. But ultimately here, what we're thinking is that as long as Bitcoin is moving sideways, Ethereum should get allocation, and it has. Right? In the time that Bitcoin has been moving sideways, Ethereum has been getting a boost. It's been pushing higher, got all the way up to 3,136, according to my chart from Bitstamp. So that's pretty good. And kind of what I'm thinking is it's going to keep going higher. Why? Because if we zoom out to the weekly chart, I do think we're starting to enter into a moment, a bigger than a moment, a season for Ethereum. And this is going to be kind of similar, I think, to the Bitcoin ETF season, right? Where all of the bullishness came into BTC and exposed products such as the futures ETFs for Bitcoin. And then in the lead up to January 10th, right, there was just a lot of bullishness. And then it was a sell the news event because of Grayscale and because just generally, that's how these big exciting events go. And I wasn't too surprised to see it was sell the news with a resumption higher after some selling. After some profit taking would be a good way to characterize that sell. And I think we're going to see the same thing here on Ethereum, right? I think we're entering now. So May 23rd is marked here by this vertical green line, and that is a ways off still, right? There's still, this is the weekly chart, so there's some time here before then, right? But I think that the pump for Ethereum is going to be coming soon. My price prediction for the day before the 23rd, so the 22nd, my price prediction is going to be somewhere around 3,600, right? Could be just under, could be over. But if you look, that would put us over these highs back here from April 2022, from the spring of 2022, where Ethereum tested above the midline of the Bollinger Band for the last time, right? Before it went into this bear market, right? And then consolidation. So that would be bullish, obviously. If we could get back up to those levels, that would be very bullish. And why? Why now? Well, it's because of the ETH spot ETF. That conversation. Now, that conversation is the passage of that, the approval by the SEC is less likely than the Bitcoin one. There's just more going against Ethereum. But I do still believe that we will get across the finish line. Grayscale CEO also believes that. It's a matter of when, not if. Now, I really want it to be here. I really want it to be at the deadline that the SEC's already given itself. But we will have to wait and see. We will just have to wait and see. But that's kind of why I'm seeing a pump here for Ethereum right now on the current weekly candle. You are red, right? So we're coming into the week pretty red. But I see this as more of a recharge, right? So the pump isn't going to be immediate. I don't think the pump's going to be immediate. I think it's going to take some charging up, so to speak. Maybe even a test back down to the midline of the Bollinger Band, so putting it back down to 2,800, right? The quick 8% correction. By the time it got there, maybe like more of a 5.5% correction. So a quick recharge, bears get a little bit of chunk of flesh, and then the bulls get a nice little discount, a little bit of a boost in their buy thesis to buy, and that then triggers a lot more buying for that May Ethereum season. So tell me, what do you think? Do you think we're too far away from that May 23rd deadline? Do you think it's too uncertain to where investors are not going to invest anywhere near the rate that they did for Bitcoin? What do you think? Do you think that my estimation is way too high, or do you think it's too low? Do you think that we'll be higher or lower than 3,600 for Ethereum by May 23rd? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think I'm being too bullish here? Now, let me lay out a couple of cases here for what I think is going to happen. I'm here on the daily chart, and I've got one more exciting. I've got a coin, and we've got some pretty interesting news. But I've got a coin I want to bring you all after this one. It's one that I've been predicting for a while will do well, and it just started doing really, really well. So I think the most likely case is going to happen is we're going to come down, test the midline of the Bollinger Band, maybe even come down here, to test these levels from these previous highs from January, right? That would put it down as low as 26, right? But it would find support and start to, zigzag, bump its head on some resistance somewhere, find new support, and then eventually go ahead and get up there by May 23rd. Get up to those levels by May 23rd. So that's kind of my base case. That's what I think is going to be most likely. So you're like, I could just hear you right now. Petit Shroom, the thumbnail says ETH pump, ETH season. Yes, it does. And it's a season. A season isn't one day. A season isn't immediate. I think what we are seeing, though, is that Bitcoin is taking a breather. For how long? Now, I think the biggest reason why that base case wouldn't happen is if Bitcoin starts to launch, right? If there's some kind of new exuberance coming into the Bitcoin markets, pushing Bitcoin higher, that's going to sop up liquidity. That's going to suck liquidity away from the Ethereum season, right? But if Bitcoin does what I think it's going to do, and what I thought it should be doing ever since back here, not that far back, sorry, ever since back here at 42,000, where it should just be flat. If it starts to just go flat, then that is everything that altcoin holders could ever wish for. I think the base case for Bitcoin is that we may make another test higher to 53, but we just tried and we failed. I think more than likely is that we go ahead and fall off and just find support, and then just kind of go sideways, trying to find support, trying to figure out where we're going to head, right? That's what I think. But that's good, unless you only hold Bitcoin and you need to gain, and you need gains right now, right? But that's not very many people. That's not very many people. Who is that, though? That's BlackRock and that's Fidelity, because they want to return. They want returns in their clients' pockets right now because they just sold them these ETFs, right? Quite a bit, to the tune of I think it's up to $10 billion now that have rotated into those ETFs. Could be off on that. But a flat Bitcoin, or a lower Bitcoin, a testing lower Bitcoin with nice finding nice support. I don't want Bitcoin, and in my base case, I do not see Bitcoin testing much lower than maybe 42,000, right? And I've said that. That's something I'm sticking to. I think this would be a scenario number 2 where it goes all the way down to 42, and then eventually kind of does that. That's still, in my opinion, still an ETH season, because all of that liquidity has to go somewhere. All that profit taking, all that selling goes somewhere. Now, some of it's going to go on the sidelines. Some of it's going to go into Microsoft and the S&P. But I think a good bit of it is going to say, hey, the next big trade for 2024, is Ethereum, because it's getting that ETF in May 23rd, potentially. It's getting that decision at least, right? So I think I've beaten it over the head pretty well. Compound is doing very, very well. Let's go take a look at Compound. Compound has broken out of this triangle that has been consolidating into for a long time now, very, very long time. Let's actually go out to the weekly, because I want to see what these Bollinger Bands have been telling us. Yes, it has been telling the story of consolidation here. Look at the pinching of these blue lines coming together, saying with a slight higher grade tilt. And then finally, these Bollinger Bands are expanding, allowing the floodgates to open for Compound to move in one direction or another. And for holders of Compound, of which I am one, it is nice to see Compound choosing the upward path as those Bollinger Bands open up. So let's go down to some lower time frames and just see how the party got started. So this line here was pretty much the downtrending line of resistance for a long time. It tested back here. Compound did. Tested back here, got rejected December 27th. Tested back here, February 19th, got rejected. But then here, as Bitcoin finally trades sideways consistently and predictably, finally the altcoins can get a moment to say, hey, we're breaking out, baby. We are breaking out, and Compound is one of them. Now, we've had some other big breakouts as well, and I'm sure you all have seen those. Uniswap, obviously the biggest one, but that was on news. That was on news of changes to their governance. Compound, I don't believe, has had any news. This is just a classic technical weak, breakout that on a very, very, I would say, pretty large pattern. I mean, this pattern really goes all the way back to summer of last year. So that's a pretty big pattern to break out of. This movement could be explosive. Should I do the Tim measurement here? It's not a Tim measurement. This isn't. It's not like he invented this measurement. I don't know if this is applicable to this. I'll do it anyway. Let's see if we can get a little price prediction here. I'm not exactly sure if this is the kosher way to do this. Piper, if you're in the chat, talk me down off the ledge here. But if you measure this breakout in a very crude, and I'm not even sure if that's the right way to do it, you would get a breakout to about $121 for compound, which from where it is now would be a 57% move, call it 60% move. From where it broke out, it would be a 95% move. So compound is good. Compound is moving real well. This is one of the altcoins that's getting some spotlight, and it's nice to see. But there's a lot of green names today in the crypto bubbles. I'll go ahead and give it a refresh. Compound is one of them, and Compound is in. There's a lot of coins. There's a couple of coins that are up 13, 14%. Pepe, Poke T. This is in the top 100 to 200. So let's go down to the 100. Compound is not in the top 100, so you will not see it here. But that's a little bit of context. Compound is far from alone in its bullishness today. VeChain getting a nice pop back. That's good to see for VeChain. Matic up 5%, right? So we're seeing some positive movement in the altcoins today, and it makes sense because Bitcoin's sideways, right? It makes a ton of sense. But Compound has a lot further to go, in my opinion. And here's why. Here's the big fundamental. Here's the big fundamental for Compound. It is the smallest cap crypto on Robinhood, which is one of the major crypto on-ramps for American investors in the retail category, right? People like you and me who live in the United States, not banks, not wealth managers. A lot of these people, if they don't use Robinhood, they at least have a Robinhood, but a lot of them use Robinhood to buy NVIDIA, to buy Microsoft, to buy Google, and whatever stocks they think they want to lose money on in the lower caps, right? And so that's great. People do that, but they also buy AVAX and Bitcoin and Ethereum. And of the list of cryptos on Robinhood, Compound is the lowest cap, which to me is like, that doesn't mean it's a good project. I'm not saying Compound's a bad project. I think it's actually pretty decent. But it's the smallest cap, right? And if anybody, the average investor knows that the smallest cap, is potentially going to be the highest risk, but also the highest reward, right? Especially in crypto, the smaller the cap, the higher the potential move that it could see because its market cap is nice and low. And if you get in early, it's going to go higher. So T-Shroom, is this financial advice? Should I go out and buy Compound right now? Should I go buy it today? No. I think you need to do your own due diligence. You need to understand the project that you're getting into, especially if you're considering investing in it and holding it for more than a year, right? But for a trade, I'm going back to the Compound chart, for a trade, for altcoin season, right? This little mini season that we seem to be getting blessed with by Bitcoin's sideways price action has been favorable so far to Compound. And you can see here, now this is a very crazy chart with a lot of context that I'm not going to be giving you. Basically, don't expect Compound to go to 900 again. Maybe it could, but don't expect that. Compound, the next major resistance is right here, right, for Compound at $95 per coin, right? And that's pretty soon. You can see that it's right here. This is where Compound put in some lows before it made a move higher, before ultimately coming down into being its stablecoin phase here. So Compound really around 93, 95 is going to face a lot of resistance on this kind of growth trajectory that it could be on. So anyway, yeah, I think I've spent some time on Compound. I originally shouted out its breakout while Piper was live, and Piper's going to be live again here at 9:30, just 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes from now, Piper's going to be going live. Maybe he'll do some TA on Compound again. Maybe he'll get TradeFly or OC to do some TA on Compound. We'll see. I'll be tuning in. I'll be listening. I'll probably be on my bike. Probably be on my bicicleta, going for a nice little bike ride because I do that almost every morning after my stream. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Compound, guys. Go check it out. You can buy it on Robinhood. Definitely not financial advice. Not a recommendation to buy it, guys. But if if you're looking for a new altcoin to get into, it's a DeFi coin. It's on Robinhood, and a lot of folks are going to be buying that in anticipation of the bull market, in my opinion. All right, well, it's not... Man, I talked to Crux of Crypto this weekend, and we talked for a long time. And one of the big things was we talked about some of the coins we regret selling, right? Crux shared some coins with me. But my biggest regret selling coins is by far Uniswap, because I've sold Uniswap earlier this year and took some profits, although they were probably meager to what I could have made if I'd held Uniswap. I also sold HBAR, which I do regret selling that one, even though that one hasn't performed anywhere near as closely to the upside as Uniswap. I asked the question over on Twitter. My Twitter is @tshroom. I asked the question, what coin do you regret selling? And I got some interesting responses. Crux said, mine isn't a coin, it's NVIDIA. Ooh, so he sold NVIDIA. Crypto Acres said he sold RNDR, Render. The Englander said Solana at the bottom. My left T said IOTA. Servando Estrada said Caspa at the moment. You sold Caspa? No. Oh, Servando. CryptoStevo.eth said Uni and OP bought very early. Black Knight T001 said Sauce Coin. Okay, never heard of that one. I'm sure that was regrettable, though. Cody. I bet a lot of people are regretting selling Cody, but not me. Didn't sell. There you go. So not sticking with the prompt, but sticking with the fun. And then Frankie Cuse also said Cody. Oh, no. Sack Nasty sold Chainlink at 10 before it pumped. Bought back in, though. Well, that's good. And then Mark sold Tau. There you go. So thank you so much for everybody who responded. If you're not following me over on Twitter, it's right here, right above me. You can find me on Twitter, formerly X, and you're going to have a lot of fun there. Let's keep trucking through the stories here. I've got a pretty big one here. Bitcoin explodes its mystery creator among the exclusive circle of 25 wealthiest people in the world. So this is kind of cool as Bitcoin continues to move higher. We don't know who he is or who they are, potentially, that own the Satoshi wallet, but whoever owns that Satoshi wallet could also be deceased. But is now in the wealthiest 25 people in the world, which is pretty crazy for someone who just wrote a bunch of code and then incentivized a bunch of people with GPUs to operate that code. If you think about it, it is pretty insane. But the reality is what that system, what the Bitcoin protocol system is designed to do. It really is that valuable, guys. At least the market is valuing it at the crazy valuation that Bitcoin is, trillion plus, right? And I value it at that, right? So the ECB doesn't, right? The European Central Bank values Bitcoin at 0, which is unfortunate for them because, they're old. Their legacy, they don't get it. No, they get it. They're just trying to FUD the market. PUBG publishers tap Circle to integrate in-game wallet on a new metaverse. So this is actually pretty cool. I want to know, do you guys still play PUBG, or do you play Fortnite, or what battle royale do you guys play? Come on, you're gonna have to be louder than that. I can't hear you. Just kidding. Let's see what you guys said, because I asked some questions in the chat. Let's see what was said here a little while ago. Let's see. Kid Coleman said, yeah, I know, and I watch it, but they are slowly putting new coins on. I'm saying that about Robinhood, I assume, the Kid Coleman was saying. Let's see. Blackie Chan said, anytime something's looking bearish to me, I just see buying opportunities. It's still very new on platforms, though, so could easily just keep going. Not sure what coin you're talking about there, Blackie Chan. But probably something pretty good. Hopefully someone caught that in the chat. Let's see. Oh, here we go. A mellow fellow said, young bus ticket. I like that. Let's see. Lil Gas. Ooh, that's actually not a bad rap name, because a lot of people can relate to gas, buying gas. It has a couple of different meanings there. Some of our 420 friendly viewers may catch my drift. Brian D said, good morning from Rochester, New York. There you go, upstate New York. You gotta love it. Blackie Chan said, Lil Tums. I like that. Of course, if you're just tuning in, we're referring to a prompt I put out on Twitter. What is the last thing you bought? And put the word Lil in front of it, and that is your rapper name. So we're getting a lot of fun in here. Let's see what else. My favorite one so far is Lil Gas, because I think that actually could be a pretty decent name if it's not already taken. All right, guys, I'm seeing some other good ones, but let's keep moving here. Let's keep moving. Blackie Chan said played Fortnite, COD, and PUBG. There you go. Yes, I have played all of them, except PUBG. I've only ever seen gameplay of PUBG, but they are, they're integrating. They're taking some steps forward, and the name of their production company, I guess, is Overdare, which is kind of a cool name. They are teaming up with Circle, right? So Circle has entered into a strategic partnership with Overdare, a JV of one of the largest game studios, a joint venture in the world. So there you go. A large-scale Roblox-style metaverse building on Circle Wallet infrastructure. So that could be pretty big. That's definitely something to watch. Not that you're going to be able to make any gains off of that because Circle is a stable coin. Kathy Woods, ARK Invest, sold $16 million worth of Coinbase shares last week. Coinbase did have a nice recovery, but it did get a sell-off after it had some questionable activity going on with, what was it? They basically stopped doing BRC20, like Bitcoin support. It was something like that. It wasn't BRC20. It was UTXO coins. So like Dogecoin, Litecoin, Bitcoin. They stopped support for their institutional clients, which is like for payments, not for buying, not just for like investing in those, but just for payments. That's a decision that they made, and I think that the market kind of sold that accordingly. But now it looks like Coinbase, at least in pre-market, is getting a bit higher. So I did DCA a little bit into Coinbase here. I'm a huge believer in Coinbase. As you can see, it's got a lot of room to run. It would be another 100% gain if it gets back to the highs from the previous bull run for crypto. So is Kathy Woods making the wrong decision? I don't think so. I think these funds make decisions that are a lot more complicated. She also looks like she sold Robinhood to the tune of $8.2 million over the past 7 days. So that's pretty interesting. So they're offloading a lot of these exchange stock, and I think that it has a lot to do with they want to own the coins, in my opinion. And maybe the earnings potential of these exchanges are going to be muted for one reason or another in the future, and so their earnings aren't going to be as good. Let's take a look here at this pretty impeccable headline, and then we have a sad headline, unfortunately. MicroStrategy buys an additional 3,000 Bitcoin. It's always at the top. It's so funny. It's so funny. I should have predicted this, but it's almost impossible to predict because you get distracted. But if you take a look here on the daily chart, I mean, this is where MicroStrategy is just choosing to buy. We don't know exactly where it was because it's a corporation. They don't have to say exactly when they bought, but they bought somewhere in here. Could have been in here, I suppose. But ultimately, this is just funny because MicroStrategy, they're one of the top holders of Bitcoin. I think they are, as a corporation, I think they're still the top holder of Bitcoin. The ETFs have caught up together, if you add them all together, but MicroStrategy is still top. Anyway, they always buy the top. Now, the sad news is that MicroStrategy X account was hacked, and it led to $440,000 worth of crypto being stolen through a tweet that looked like this. So this is sad, guys. This sucks, man. This sucks so bad because I've known people very close to me who've been the victims of, crypto loss. And it sucks. It's not fun, and it's honestly pretty traumatic. So it sucks. If that was you, I feel for you. Definitely reach out, talk to somebody who you love. Because this isn't a financial problem at that point. It's a trust problem. You trusted MicroStrategies, you trusted Twitter, right? And those two entities let you down if you got your money stolen from, right? They let you down with their security, but you also have to take some responsibility too. And maybe it's too early in the healing process to take that responsibility, and that's okay. But eventually you do have to realize you were the one that authorized that that malicious actor to your wallet. Now, of course, you thought it wasn't a malicious actor, but that speaks more to a couple of different things rather than it being X and MicroStrategy's fault. It is still their fault. They still, are at fault here to some extent, but not 100% extent, in my opinion. I think we are in the Wild West. If you're in crypto, you're in the Wild West, right? And so in the Wild West, it's hard to enforce the law, right? The sheriffs do as much as they can, but the sheriffs are kind of bumbling idiots in a lot of ways. And then the other thing too is like, you were the one that authorized the payment, and you should have authorized the access to your wallet. You should have done more work to understand why you were doing the wrong thing, and you would have realized, I shouldn't do this. Now that hurts to hear, and it sounds, oh, T-Shroom, you're being so tough on these people, right in the moment when they're wounded. It's true, but I do want people to know the truth, and I want people to make decisions according to the truth, according to the standard of truth, right? And the truth is that yes, MicroStrategies and X are partly at fault for this phishing attack, but it is the people who authorized the payments ultimately that made the decision, right? And they were making the decision on bad data, but they still were the ones making the decision. No one was forcing you to sit there and click authorize your wallet to these phishing accounts. So the moral of the story is be careful, be extra careful. And if you did get money stolen from you, maybe it's time to take a step back from using MetaMask and Trust Wallet. Take a step back from those platforms and just take a step back. Analyze what you did. Wait a couple of months before you use those platforms again, right? If you didn't get stolen from, reach out and talk to people who have and help them out. Lend a help, lend a hand. Not necessarily financially. I'm not saying give people money for free, right? But I'm saying, lend a hand emotionally. Be there for them and just listen. Just listen to their struggle and just say, hey, this is how I've avoided it in the past. If they don't even really know what's going on, explain to them what happened to them and things like that. But we've got to be buddies for each other out there in this Wild West industry of crypto. Speaking of which, one of my battle buddies, Army Piper, is going live right now. So go check him out at Piper Academy. Guys, we've got some great news. I know we ended on a bit of a sour note, but we've had some good news. MicroStrategies is buying the top again for Bitcoin. Bitcoin playing along, doing a little bit of sideways movement here. We could see more of it, and this is going to continue to create a crypto environment where the altcoins are going to continue to pump, not all at the same time and definitely not at the same rate. But if Uniswap, VeChain, and today Compound is any consolation, we are in for quite an altcoin season this bull market, and I'm excited to share it with you. So make sure you stay tuned. If you have not subscribed to this channel, Investing Bros, make sure you do so. And if you like the video, smash the like. 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tim and I will be going live again, looking at the charts and more stories, and we hope to see you there. Adios.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shroom's news, got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.